Today, I had the chance to talk to Riley Masters. Riley Masters is a professional runner. He is now retired, but interestingly, he came from my hometown and even ran for my high school. We had a great conversation on all sorts of topics, ranging from his high school career to his favorite workout. So now, before we get into the interview, first I'd like to apologize because my audio during the interview is not great. I'm not sure why or what happened, but it is what it is. And regardless, I hope you really enjoy this interview because it was so fun. Hello, today I'm here with Riley Masters, who is a now retired professional runner, and he hails from my hometown of Bangor, Maine. So first off, I'd like to thank you for being here and agreeing to do this. And I'd like to first start off with something we have in common. So we both ran and I run for Bangor High School. What was your experience like running for Bangor?
Ooh, my experience running for Bangor at the time, there were fewer runners than there are now in Bangor. So it was a little unique. There was a guy named Casey Qualia, who I think may hold a couple school records still, but I might be mistaken. So he was the big alpha guy on the team. So I just kind of tagged along and was excited to be part of the team, but saw some fairly decent amount of success while I was there. But it was fun to be a Ram and to run. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Did you have a go-to running route from Bangor High School? Because, every day we have practice at Bangor High, 3 seasons a year. And so did you have a favorite route you like to go on?
It's been a minute. I would say we did the Burley Road loop quite often, as well as Essex Street Woods. We'd run there frequently. I like to just do a couple loops around Essex Street. You get to going up that hill can be a little tough. Obviously, a fairly hilly run, but I feel like during cross country it suited us well because you get a good amount of hills in. But I would say Essex Street Woods is probably the best. But really, if you're in Prentice Woods too, you can't do too bad as well.
I completely agree. So this might mean nothing to you, but did you ever run spaghetti?
I did run spaghetti. That was a good loop too. That's the way you go down. You have to remind me of the street, but yes, I remember I ran spaghetti loop. Yeah.
Wow, okay. I wasn't sure how long spaghetti's been a thing, and I'm surprised it's still named and sticking around, and I think that's something that'll never go away.
If I'm correct, Lindsay Hackett helps coach some of the distance runners, right?
That is
Yeah, I think
true.
she I think introduced myself and some of the other later runners. We a couple of us didn't like join cross country until our junior year, so
Mhm.
she introduced us to the spaghetti loop as she was a kind of a 4-year cross country runner.
Wow. And
Yeah.
speaking of, you joined in your junior year cross country?
I did. I was a soccer guy prior to that.
Mhm. We have a bunch of those too. We've convinced a lot of our friends to switch from soccer to cross country, and they really seem to enjoy it. And so, speaking of, you were a multisport athlete in high school. So, do you think that this helped you approach running in a different way as opposed to someone who runs all year round?
Certainly. I think it helped me with my success after high school as well. But I think Bangor does a good job, just the community as a whole, getting people or athletes kind of introduced into all of the seasons. No one really specializes, or at least when I was in high school, no one specialized in one sport. You start to see it a little bit more towards your junior and senior year. People kind of narrow in on what they may want to go to college and participate in. But no, I think just the Bangor community in general, where it just is very welcoming to all sports, was fantastic. And I think it really helped Casey and myself be much better kind of later in our career.
Awesome. Okay. So, what was your favorite season out of cross country, indoor or outdoor?
I think indoor track in Maine is probably the most unique because obviously you can go to the university and get some practices in there. But the fact that you're running on the ramps in Bangor High for most of your interval training is kind of comical. I think, you go to, but also, it hardens you up a little bit. I think, I would go to Nike Indoor Nationals or what it was at the time, and I'd be racing against guys who had maybe an indoor track at their high school, or were from California and they didn't even have to run on an indoor track. But the fact that it's hard to run outdoors in the winter in Maine, I think makes it so unique and such a fun experience. And just the camaraderie of everyone being kind of on top of one another, dodging each other in the hallways was, we kind of made it my favorite season.
Awesome. I agree. I think indoor track is one of the most unique seasons we have. Especially this year, it was more of a running club. And so they were doing high jump in the cafeteria and sprinting in the hallways. And then the distance kids would just go outside every single day, basically.
Okay.
And so that was very interesting. And so after high school, you had a pretty successful collegiate career. You went to UMaine and then the University of Colorado. Is that correct?
University of Oklahoma is where I graduated from. Yep.
And so if you could offer advice to a young Riley Masters who's making that transition, what would you tell him?
I think I would have given myself advice. It's like, really buckle down in training, especially in the summer. I think from what I've read, Bangor's doing a great job of having, you guys, Coach Huber, who I knew very well when I was in high school, having you guys train hard during the summer. I think that's a big thing and something I didn't necessarily do as much. I was focused on playing baseball or, just having fun with my friends. But really that summer training is kind of pivotal to having long-term success and just creating a lifestyle of being a runner. So that's probably the advice that I would give myself. I think once I made it a lifestyle, I saw a lot more success.
Awesome. So what do you think the biggest difference between high school and collegiate athletics is?
I think there's fewer distractions actually as a college athlete. Pete, that may be an unpopular opinion, but you're on campus, you're with all your friends, you're with your teammates 24/7. So you're kind of living that team environment 24/7. So, you don't have kind of the other extracurriculars you might be participating in. I mean, you still can have that, but you're really just living and breathing the running lifestyle 24/7 as a college athlete, because you go to train with your teammates, you're in class with them, and then you go to maybe the dining hall and then hang out afterwards with just with the same group of guys. So it's a lot of fun, and you're able to build that lifestyle.
Interesting. Okay. So you're in a very small and elite group of sub-4 milers from Maine. I'm actually not sure if there are any others. Then you're also the fastest Maine native to run the distance. So what do you think was the most instrumental thing that you did for yourself to help break that barrier?
It's tough. It's hard to pinpoint one thing. Again, just kind of creating that lifestyle and just running more, really being consistent with my training, as well as I think in Maine, you can get stuck in these kind of barriers where, breaking 2 minutes wasn't something that anyone in Class A did my senior year. So to break 4 minutes, you have to do it twice. So I think breaking 2 minutes was a big barrier for myself mentally when I went to college. So really just breaking those down. I think that Maine athletes are just as talented as everybody else, but I think just there's maybe a little bit lower standard just given the competitive nature of the of Maine. So I think that's probably the biggest thing, was just breaking down those barriers and understanding that I was very capable of doing those, sort of accomplishing that.
Awesome. And so after college, you moved on and had a really awesome professional career. So what company did you sign with? And can you tell me a little bit about what it's like to be a professional runner?
Yeah, so I ran for 2 different companies when I was professional. I signed my first contract with Brooks Running in Seattle. And then when I moved to Colorado, I signed with Nike. So that process kind of looks like you just get an agent reaches out to you if you do well enough in college, and they let you know, hey, I think there's some opportunities that'll be available to you. They kind of do the shopping for you and figure out who you're going to sign with. And then, the company supports you for the length of the term of the contract and then beyond if you do well enough. But the life of a professional distance runner, it's kind of the dream. It's, you sleep in and, get your run in when you can. And then, you're just training hard. So, but, it's more than that too. It's really, that's the opportunity to really live that lifestyle, to train very, very hard, get the most out of yourself. And you don't have any excuses not to. So I think the most fulfilling thing for me was I started training with Coach Mark Wetmore, who coaches the University of Colorado the last 4 years of my career, and just really putting in that work that was beyond what I thought I was even capable of doing day to day. So averaging about 15, 16 miles a day, for a year and a half or straight, and just putting in that work day to day. So, but it's everything too. It's, you're running a lot of miles, you're doing a hard long run, a couple workouts a week, getting in the weight room, and just focusing on all those little things that really make the big difference when you get to the kind of the top here.
Interesting. And so, what do you think is something that most people wouldn't know or expect about being a professional athlete?
Who know or expect about being a pro distance runner? Now I feel like it's hard because I think when I went into it, there were a lot of things I didn't know or expect. I think now that with social media and how transparent everybody is, I feel like people know most things. But I think something that I saw was, you become a professional distance runner. And my big thing was, I always wanted to go race in Europe. And I thought that's where the absolute fastest races were, or, maybe I had to get into a certain race to run my absolute fastest. But maybe not the answer you're looking for, but I think it doesn't matter what race you're in. You've got to run. Every track's 400 meters. It doesn't matter who you're running against. You can run fast no matter where you are, what the conditions are. So it's just got to just go for it. So I think that was a big thing. I was always looking for the perfect scenario to run my best, where I don't think I needed to search as hard as I was searching to find the best race environment. You can just go run hard anywhere.
Awesome. That's really cool. And so you touched a little bit on this already, but what is the day in the life of a professional runner like? Like what would you usually eat? When would you wake up and do your run? And would you do like a morning and an evening run, or would you just do it all in one go?
Yeah, so I liked to, I kind of jokingly said sleep in. I definitely didn't do that. I tried to have my first run at least started every day before 8 o'clock. So I was done. And then that gave you the rest of the day to really recover, get ready to do all those, or just do all those ancillary things. So, stretch, make sure you're refueling properly, getting the right nutrients after your run, as well as kind of getting ready for whatever would be the second run. So for me, I was averaging about 15 miles a day. So my morning run was typically 10 miles. I would double, 3 or 4 days a week. Those were usually 5 to 6 miles as well. On my workout days, those are when I would typically double. So it would be something, 10 miles worth of volume in the morning. That was started around 8 o'clock. Around 5 p.m., I would go for an easy 5 to 6 mile run. And then I had a couple easy days where it was just running 10 miles that day. And then on Sundays, up every morning, this is kind of a big Colorado thing, was we would wake up every morning, every Sunday, 8 a.m. was a big 20 to about a 20-mile run somewhere up in the mountains too, where you really you get after it too. So we were running, probably average between 5:30 and 5:45 pace for those runs, but really just kind of hammer it. Just kind of throw the hammer down for 20 miles.
Wow. And so, what was probably the highest volume a week you ever ran?
I think the highest I got up to was about 110, maybe 115. It kind of depended on the time of year or whatever, but my last season running, I really pushed the envelope, getting the volume up there.
Interesting. And so, what was your favorite part about being a professional athlete?
I think the opportunity to really go all in, to, I've been able to get to this point and walk away from it knowing that I was able to dedicate my entire life for a while to distance running, to see absolutely how good I could be at it. I think that's the best part about being a professional, is you have that opportunity where, you don't have any obligations outside of just being a runner and doing everything you can. So I left no stone unturned. And I think that's the thing that I enjoyed the most about it.
Awesome.
And then obviously the gear that Nike sent me too.
Yeah, I bet that was pretty nice too. And so you've raced at the US trials and some other big races. Which of those has the best atmosphere, in your opinion?
The Olympic trials is incredible. This year is going to be tough with spectators, but for those of you that are big running fans, going to spectate the U.S. Olympic trials is an incredible experience. I was fortunate enough to go several times in my career, and just everyone who's there is a diehard running fan. They all love it. You have a lot of, you're watching these races where, people's dreams, things they've trained for, their entire life, they're chasing, and it all kind of comes down to that one moment. So you see just kind of the culmination of all that hard work, and then either, pure joy or heartbreak when someone crosses the line. So it's very dramatic and, a lot of fun and kind of an atmosphere unlike anything else I've seen in sports.
Awesome. And do you have a favorite athlete on the scene right now?
Favorite. The cool thing about this is about running is I got to know so many people and they became such good friends. Joe Klecker he recently signed a professional contract with On Running. He was a member of the Colorado team when I was running, and I was assistant coach there. So I'd say Joe is probably the person I cheer for the most. And then my wife still runs professionally too. So I also would be remiss if I didn't throw her in there too. She'll say, we'll give Joe the male and then Sarah the female air distance runners. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. What do you think the most important advice you ever received as a runner was? For me, it came from Coach Huber, and it was when he told me to just get out the door. Because getting out the door is basically half of your run. It's the hardest part of your run most of the time, and it leads to resounding success down the line.
Yeah. I think Coach Huber probably gave me that advice too when I was back in 2006. So he's been at it a while. I think for me, when I got to the end of my career, was just having the ability to keep a calm mind during races. I think understanding that you did the hard work, there's no reason to get anxious or whatever when you're out there racing. So for me, the way I saw the most success towards the latter part of my career was just keeping a calm mind when it came to both training and racing. I was just constantly just confident in the work that I put in.
And speaking of keeping a calm mind, how would you deal with the pre-race pressure? Because me personally, towing the line is probably one of the scariest things you can do. And, the pressure you put on yourself and the expectations from others, it can be a lot sometimes.
Yeah. I think you have to view a race as just an opportunity to celebrate all of that hard work that you've done through, in preparation. It really in running, it's so much more training than it is racing or competing. So for me, I was able to have that, less anxiety when I was on the line because I knew I prepared either better or just as well as everyone else that I was towing the line against. So at that point, it was all about just, proving that I had put in that hard work and just, getting ready to, a race is going to hurt whether you prepared well or you didn't. It's just, it'll go well if you prepared well. So that was it. It's just the preparation allowed me to be less anxious when I got to the line.
Awesome. And speaking of prep, do you have a favorite workout?
Probably the most notorious workout I ever did was, and it wasn't the hardest or anything, but it was kind of a fun one to do, was when I was trying to break 4 minutes for the first time. I was at the University of Maine on the indoor track up there, and I ran 4x400 with 20 seconds rest with all under a minute. So basically I ran a 4-minute mile in 5 minutes. So so you're only really standing there for 20 seconds, which isn't a lot of rest recovery whatsoever. Mm-hmm. But that was probably my most favorite workout. I think it really allowed me to understand that I can go do this, despite being pretty far away PR wise prior to that race.
Awesome. I think that's all the questions I have for you. So thank you so much. Those were some honestly amazing answers, and it was really, really cool to talk to you.
Yeah, thanks for connecting. Let's say I've been following the Bangor team, especially in the last couple of years, as you guys are, looks like, kind of making all of us, I think all of my records will be erased here pretty soon if they haven't already been. So I appreciate you reaching out before I become irrelevant in the Bangor High hallways.
I'm not quite sure that'll happen.
Yeah. Well, hey, anyway, thanks for connecting.
Yeah, thank you.